Let's get into Sparkhouse Digital, shall we? We've already gone through the who is with us poll, and so thank you for that information. For those of you who are totally new, I'm going to just run through some of the key features of Sparkhouse Digital very quickly before we go live. And yes, we will be going live onto the site. And I suppose it's at this point that you ought to be making a list of things that you might be interested in learning about when we're live onto the site that I can demonstrate, because I'm happy to let the webinar go in a direction that you prefer it to go in, if it's helpful. One key features is there's a lot of content in Sparkhouse Digital. And when I first did this webinar, there was about 15,000 items. Items are being added all the time. We just added new items for the fall. And so again, that's one of the great features of having a website like Sparkhouse Digital, is that we can continue to add new resources. And there's 3 basic age categories in Sparkhouse Digital. Early childhood is a module, children's is a separate module, and youth is a separate module. Not just content in Sparkhouse Digital, there's tools in Sparkhouse Digital. In fact, I'm kind of curious, if you want to pop it into the question spot, my question for you in this case, do any of you use the calendar or the planner? Some small congregations just drag stuff out of the calendar for the sake of their leaders. Some other congregations really chart out the whole year by way of the planner, and we'll be talking about some of those features as we get live onto the site. And then certainly, great thing about Sparkhouse Digital and the vast amount of content in Sparkhouse Digital is you can design an early childhood Sunday school or youth ministry program that accommodates your unique needs, your unique situation. With digital resources, you definitely can pick from here and pick from there and do something that really works locally. Whether it's a Sunday or whether it's a weekday or whether it's a weekend, you know, there's a lot of ways to configure resources in Sparkhouse Digital. All right, what's in there? Well, a lot of curricula. There's the frolic curricula, early childhood, preschool, and parent and top curricula. There's Whirl and the iterations of Whirl that include Whirl Lectionary and Whirl Classroom and Whirl All Kids, one-room schoolhouse version of Whirl. Spark has those same versions. That's kind of our flagship curriculum that has those great award-winning Bibles connected to them. Spark also has a rotational version in addition to the lectionary and the classroom and all kids version. There's Holy Moly. I'm a real fan of Holy Moly. I think Holy Moly does a tremendous job with those videos with very light narration, if any, that helps kids to be Bible storytellers as they figure out what's going on here in this Bible story. There's Connect for our tweens. And whenever I think of watch Connect videos, I think of Monty Python. I don't know. There's just something about that for me. Reform, which is a pretty cheeky look at Bible stories. When we briefed the script writers, we really wanted them to dig into the characters, warts and all, and Reform really approaches spiritual questions and the Bible characters from the perspective of kids, of middle schoolers, and how they would interact with these characters and what questions they might have. Collaborate is our problem-based learning curriculum, hence the word lab in the middle of collaborate. I know some people have a hard time because it's not spelled right, but that's intentional. So to do it together, to work together, part of the lab, and to orate or to speak or profess, that's all part of the 3-part move of collaborate. TBD, think, believe, do. It's a really interesting process where kids after confirmation perhaps really start to unpack some of the things that they've learned and how they see things like sin and mission and Bible. So I don't know if you've used TBD or not. Echo the story is exactly that. How do youth in their lives echo the biblical story, and kind of digs through those stories at a deeper level. And then if you want to dig into it, even though it says 2001 calendar on there, you can tell when I built this webinar, you can see all of these resources in a little bit more detail, including these pages, which I really love, that describe how a curriculum works, what are the units involved, and it's created for churches where you can say, is this what our church is like? Maybe this is one curriculum we want to look at. If you've got a phone, and some of you are using your phone for for audio. I hope that's working for you. I actually did put a QR code. If you want to flash this QR code, it'll take you into the current catalog, the 2003 catalog. So I thought I would just pop that up on the screen for you. If you want to flash it and get the 2003 catalog, you certainly may. 2023 catalog, rather. 2023 catalog. Oh my goodness, just dropped a couple of decades there. Okay, when I talk about early curricula supported in the early childhood module, those numbers in the parentheses are lessons. And so there's 44 nursery lessons for our very littles, all connected with the Frolic board books and Frolic Bibles. It could be used in a nursery setting during service time, or in some other kind of setting where you've got those little ones with you. Frolic family lessons are lessons that involve moms and dads and other family members in the faith formation experience. Frolic preschool with its storybook and separate Bible, separate storybooks, separate Bibles designed for older kids, really help preschoolers get them thinking about faith and about Christian character and about their relationship with the Lord and the church. Then you also, in the early childhood module of Sparkhouse Digital, get all the Spark preschool lessons and all the World preschool lessons and videos. So that's all in the early childhood module. Some churches get that for their preschools or what have you, and it's been very useful for them. So again, the number in the parentheses are lessons, 343 Spark lessons. Some are the classroom style, 2-year scope and sequence, goes from Genesis into the New Testament. Then there's a lectionary version, rotation version, all kids, as I've said. Same with Whirl, 367 lessons, although with Whirl is a video-based curriculum, so you get 2 videos for every lesson, and we'll talk about that. Holy Moly has 72 lessons, a video-based curriculum, and Connect for the tweens has 50 sessions. When you get into the youth module, you get into Collaborate. Collaborate also has versions for Methodist churches and Presbyterian churches. There's the overall Collaborate Bible study that any of our denominations can use, and then there's sections that slant into confirmation. Reform, there's core confirmation, 40 sessions. There's traditions, which are mini courses, if you will, 4-session courses. Again, Methodist, Presbyterian, and Lutheran. Each one has 4 sessions. And then ancestors, 15 sessions on Old Testament ancestors and 15 sessions on New Testament ancestors. There's the Here We Stand, Lutheran confirmation of those of you who might be aware of Here We Stand as a separate website. It's now in Sparkhouse Digital, so you get access to that content. And then Echo the Story, Think, Believe, Do, and Connect are also in the youth module. And so what do you get in Sparkhouse Digital? You get leader support, including all the leader guides. You never have to worry about who's got a leader guide, because everyone can get the leader guide whenever they want, 24/7, 365. So the leader guides are all in Sparkhouse Digital. There is, in addition to leader support, multimedia. How much multimedia? Lots of multimedia. There's videos, sometimes in regard to World, there's upper grade and lower grade videos for each of the lessons. You can either stream it if you've got a great internet connection, or you can download it and put it on a jump drive, or put the USB in your smart TV or what have you. How many videos all told? Well, I did count them, and Sparkhouse Digital comes with a license to stream or download 560 animated videos, so that's a bunch. And there's music in Sparkhouse Digital, and not just the scores, but you can find PowerPoint slides that you can project for your classes, and of course the MP3 versions of all this music with or without instruments. Reproducible extras. All your children's bulletins are in Sparkhouse Digital. A couple versions of children's bulletins for Spark and for Whirl. There's a lot of coloring pages and art activities and wildcard extras and all kinds of different blackline masters that you can download right out of Sparkhouse Digital. And in addition, you'll find take-home sheets that you can download and print regarding each of the Spark lessons and world lessons that you can interact with, the kids can interact with their parents and family about the stories that they learn from Sunday to Sunday. There's digital-only resources. In other words, you're not going to find them anywhere else except in Sparkhouse Digital. And a lot of the bonus resources that we've been putting into Sparkhouse Digital are part of this digital-only world of resources. There's a youth curriculum called Wholeness and Holiness based on the book of Leviticus. There's the Renew VBS, and there's new content coming in all the time. One of the things that we've started to add is some additional leader support in Sparkhouse Digital, like prayers for teachers and meditation for teachers, or how do you discover God on YouTube. And if you're doing a retreat or a workshop with your leaders, you might want to jump into leader support and see if there's some things in there that might be useful to you. Exploring Luther's Small Catechism in Minecraft realms? Well, why not? And this is just an example of leader support in the youth bonus content. All right, so I'm going to move on here. So in addition to leader support, multimedia, reproducible extras, digital-only resources, does anybody use in the early childhood module of Sparkhouse the Frolic e-newsletters? Those are like a digital automated cradle roll that delivers age-appropriate, seasonally appropriate newsletters to your families that you can connect your kids to and their families to, and have those be sent out automatically from Sparkhouse Digital. Finally, many of you are interested in the new seasonal resources, and I'm going to be digging into what's new for fall here next. For those of you who are super experienced in Sparkhouse Digital and may not need to see all the bells and whistles when we go live, let me just buzz through this next set of slides just so that you can see what's coming up brand new in Sparkhouse Digital. So for the early childhood module, there's a photo paper stained glass activity that uses photo paper to teach kids about the stories of the Bible. There's also a drum activity where they make and use drums. There's a reading guide, and this is things that are kind of unique to the early childhood module. There's some versions of things that are in like say both early childhood and children, but the children's version is aged up, and we'll talk about that a little bit. But we've got reading guides both for the Bibles that are that we have, but also we've started to use reading guides for our theming books titles. And so we've created a discussion guide around our various books that are appropriate for kids. Scripture surprise muffins. I haven't looked at the recipe, but I guess surprise is always good with muffins. I don't know. I mentioned the books for the early childhood, a book on creation called The Story of Us. For the children's module, a beaming book called Poet, Pilgrim, Rebel, the story of Anne Bradstreet, America's first published poet. And then something that's near and dear to my heart, because I just got a chance to work on some video by Joe Davis, in which he's reading some of the poems from Remind Me Again. We have created reading guides for the youth on some of the poems in Remind Me Again. And in fact, I just learned last week, soon to come out, there's a whole facilitator guide that's going to be connected to Remind Me Again. And so if you're not familiar with Joe Davis and his work, wow, he is just something else. We really are fortunate to have him in our stable of authors at Sparkhouse. Okay, so what's new for children? I talked about kind of an aged up thing. There's the photo paper thing, but there's something for the older kids, taking that stained glass and thinking about how valuable stained glass has been in the church to help learn stories. There's a toot your trumpet activity where kids make and use trumpets, an oil and water activity. And I don't know if you've ever done things with oil and water. It's pretty cool. I wasn't sure what this was, so I went onto YouTube. I said, what is this oil and water stuff? And I'm like, oh, wow, this is like really beautiful stuff. I mean, there are established artists who are using this technique. I mentioned the Poet, the Pilgrim, and Rebel reading guide, and a Bible Pages pastry. We've got one of our developers who always likes giving us something yummy kids to interact with. Here's an example of what a resource looks like. This oil and water works that I mentioned. When you download it out of Sparkhouse Digital, it has 4 pages, 2 different activities, plus a family blessing and kids are learning about how oil and water are significant elements in the Bible, and what some of those things can mean to us today. So that's an example of a download. Youth is doing another project in regard to illustrated manuscripts. If you're familiar with the amazing artwork done by the monks to keep the scriptures alive, they're going to be involved in something like that. There's a making paper activity. Again, the reading guide to remind me again, and then Apple Bible Scrolls. I wonder if there's a caramel dip involved in that. I don't know. And the illuminated manuscripts, again, for the older kids. It's a 4-page download, supplies, directions. They're making their own quills. Let's try it. And then a little history of bookmaking in the Middle Ages. All right. In addition to the book reading guides, there's Bible reading guides to help families move through reading scriptures during the course of the fall. And then there's this Bible paper dolls for both early childhood and the children's module, where they can cut out characters and create little scenes and what have you, and those interact with our Bible reading guide. Okay, that's the new content that's just been added to Sparkhouse Digital. Okay, I am about to go live onto Sparkhouse Digital. Again, if you've got any things you want me to demonstrate while we're on Sparkhouse Digital, I'll be happy to do so. Happy to play jazz here with you all if you want to see something in particular. So this is Sparkhouse Digital page. If you don't have a free trial yet, I encourage you to get one. It's always a good time to get a free trial after the webinar, so you can kind of check out what I've been talking about. You can get a basic understanding of what Sparkhouse Digital is, what's in the different modules, and then the frequently asked questions, et cetera, et cetera. At the bottom of this page is the pricing, so check that out. Pricing Sparkhouse Digital is based on your kind of average weekly attendance of kids in your sessions. So if during the course of a normal week you get X number of kids, I mean, you don't have to count the depth of the summer, but like in a normal week, this is what we would normally have. That's how you base your pricing, not the total number of kids in your church, but the average number. All right, so I've seen people that want to see some things. Okay, great, that's fabulous. I'm going to sign in. I'll show you where those things are, Brandy. Sure, I'll go ahead and start with early childhood stuff. So early childhood, the basic structure of how this works is sort of like tiles that you dig deeper into. And you can take a quick look at what something is if you don't know what it is. You can explore deeper, and when you explore deeper into something, more tiles open up. For example, leader support, the digital activity kits. The one that I just went through is the Fall Series 3 digital activity kit. So you use the arrow to open it up again, and then you can see all the stuff that I just referred to for the early childhood kids. And then if you wanted to take a peek at what that is, you can use the little eyeball here, and you can look at the lessons and scroll through the lessons and what happens in each of these activities. You can download this activity directly from this page, or you could put it into the calendar. And that's one of the great things about having a calendar feature is, let's say on August 27th, I want to give our kids this paper doll thing. Okay, I just added to the calendar. We'll take a look at that later. You can select this, download all. These are just some of the ways that you can interact with this kind of material. Going back to the early childhood bonus content, and bonus is where everything goes now. All the new stuff appears in the bonus content. There's a core curricula tiles, and then there's a bonus content tile. So whenever we add something new, look into these various tiles. Here's some holiday events resources. We did add a Sparkhouse songbook for Christmas, which is very cool. And if you want to just download single pages, you can, or if you want to download it as this is a 32-page booklet of hymns and carols, maybe for your carols around the tree, or your caroling the community, or nursing homes, or what have you. So, okay. So again, there's core content like Frolic, Whirl, and Spark, but also all this great additional content as well. Now, I want to go through my account here because I want to demonstrate those newsletters. So when you have an early childhood, and this only works in the early childhood subscription to Sparkhouse Digital, you'll see this thing here that says newsletters. And what you can do, and you got to ignore my coworkers, they're just kind of being kind of crazy here, but you can add new children, and you can put in the child's name, first name, last name, birth date, and then you can add up to 5 recipients. And the newsletters are based on their birth dates. And so these kids will be getting monthly newsletters for the span of about 3 years, and they will be appropriate to the season, have faith formation ideas and activities that are appropriate to their age, very well thought out by our developers. And 5 other recipients can get it too. So if mom and dad aren't together, or if there's grandmas and grandpas or godparents that you want to send them to, they can, up to 5 people can get the same newsletter for that child. So so that's, I hope that was helpful to you, Brandy, right? And you're also kind of interested in the songs, and we'll get into that as well. All right, so I'm going now into, I'm moving out of early childhood, and I'm moving into the children's, and this is how you do this. You know, you can click on, if you've got all 3 modules, that's how you move between the modules. If you only have one module, then only one of them will light up. The children's module is the most robust. It has the largest suite of curricula in it, and the most resources. I can do the same thing, dig into bonus content and what have you. But I'm going to actually go into Whirl, because it's an example of a video-based curriculum. And so if I go into Whirl, I see year A fall, year B winter, year B spring. See, this is how we have the church year, A, B, and C listed out here. There's bonus lessons for various seasonal times related to Whirl. There is film festivals, which allow you to kind of lump Whirl videos together seasonally, to watch a bunch of videos at one time. Maybe you got a bunch of kids coming over on a snowy day, and you show a bunch of the Whirl Christmas videos all at one time. You can hold a film festival for your kids and talk about, you know, those videos. It's a different way of just interacting with Whirl. There's Whirl-based retreats, but there's also music. All right, because it was asked by Brandy, I'm going into the music. This is where you find all of the Whirl music. And when you look at this, you can say, all right, what's related to one piece of music? Well, all of this. You can find MP3s with the instrumental, MP3s with the lyrics that are sung. You can download MP3 lead sheets, right? Guitar chords, everything. But you are interested in the PowerPoint slides. If I download these PowerPoint slides and I open them up, there you go. There's the PowerPoint slides for that one song. So some of you may really be interested in the more of the just the content of a particular session. So if I go into year A fall, I can see all the lessons. If I want to see a scope and sequence of Whirl lectionary year A fall, it'll go in my download here. I'll be able to open that up. whether you have a tray or whether we've got this new little button at the top here, that's where your downloads go to, and then you can see the entire scope and sequence. But if you're still trying to decide what you want to use, again, every little arrow clicks you in deeper. Now, notice we've got for this one lesson, Unforgiving Servant, Pre-K, K, grades 1, 2, grades 3, 4, grades 5, 6. And then we get in here for grades 5, 6, children's message counting page, large group opening, a leader guide. There's that leaflet preview that I talked about, and the video. The interesting thing about downloading content from Sparkhouse is if I download these, just because that's what I want, I can. But you can also download material from the calendar, which maybe if you have a larger program with a variety of leaders, that's what they're going to do. So you can download stuff right off kind of the home page for Whirl. But the other way to get at resources is by way of the calendar. And I'm going to show you how that works next. So I'm going to go back to Whirl Lectioneering. I'm going to do the planner here just because I think it's a very powerful tool, especially now. Here we are in the August. Maybe you're thinking about your whole year coming up here, and so you can plan for any day of the week. Maybe we'll say Sunday school fall 2023. Okay, and let's say your Sunday school fall program is going to start on the 27th of August. And let's say when you think of your fall program, maybe you kind of end it before Christmas program rehearsals or something. I don't know. Maybe your regular fall classes end on the 12th. And this is for Sunday. You can make a plan for any day of the week. And it's important to know that if you check all of these days, that basically means you're using the same plan for every day. If you want to do a separate plan for a separate day, you should identify it as a completely separate thing. Because what's next is I am going to select a curriculum. And because we're kind of in lectionary, I'm going to choose Whirl Lectionary. I could check all of these, all right? If indeed we had all of those classes, I'm going to check just grades 3, 4 because I don't want to complicate things. But certainly all of these will populate the calendar if you select them, and then you click next. So what magic is taking place here? Well, the magic that's taking place here is that you've got this plan called Sunday School Fall 2023, and it starts with this lesson here, many members, many gifts, and every Sunday now is populated with a lesson already. The Sparkhouse Digital knows what is the appropriate lectionary lesson for the day and gives you the appropriate lectionary lesson on that Sunday. So what does that mean for you? That means that your leaders now, click done, your leaders can go to the calendar and they can go into November and they can find the lessons that they need for a particular Sunday. Not only can they find them, but they can see who is assigned to them, and I'll be talking about that next. And then they can download them. So let's say, oh, this is not for my plan. Let's find my plan here. Planning Sunday school. Here we go. So let's look at this. Okay, let's say grades 3 and 4 is the one that I did. I've got Adam, Benjamin, and Chelsea assigned. I can then they can then download this lesson. And there's two aspects to downloading, and I do like to talk about this because sometimes it's confusing. There's the big orange button that says download. That's how you get the print stuff, which comes into your computer faster. But then there's this other little download circle here. That's just for the video content, which downloads a little bit slower. That's why we separated those two, just so you could have access to the print content right away. And even though we know that sometimes video takes a while, there's both are happening here, but you need to click both buttons. I do want to talk about this, how I got these leaders in here, and it does relate to a question that was asked earlier about leaders. You add leaders in your My Account area, and you can add a new leader here, first name, last name, email, password. They don't get automatically alerted, so you have to tell them that they've been added and what the password is. I really recommend using pretty generic passwords. This isn't your bank account. This is something that we're not really worried about people swiping. But if you're assigning leaders access, you can give them a pretty generic password. Now, you might not want to give them the same password as the director because you don't want them messing with your plans and calendar. But you certainly can give leaders a pretty generic password, and then you can assign whatever sessions you want for leaders. You can assign them whole chunks, as I did here, or you can assign them just a part of each of the modules. Leaders and directors. This is really important. Directors, again, have the access to the planner and adjusting the calendar. Leaders can just go into the calendar and get stuff. They can also go into the individual tiles and download whatever they want, but they can't mess with the director's plans. And so that's the difference between a planner and a leader. I even know of congregations during COVID that made all of their parents and all of their older kids leaders so that they could access content during COVID. So they would say, for example, to a confirmation class, hey, go to Sparkhouse Digital, look at this video in Reform, and we're going to be talking about it on Thursday night in a Zoom call. So you could do that. In fact, it might even create some recruiting possibilities for your Christian education program. You can, again, add as many leaders as you want. You can give them whatever kind of access. And then when you go back into the calendar, you can actually assign particular leaders a particular, you could say, well, all right, well, Kathy's not going to be there, Jeff's not going to be there, but I'm going to want maybe Paul to go in there, and he'll fill in. So you can do that. That will make your calendar a little bit more robust and make it more useful for the people who are using Sparkhouse Digital. And I'm going to go back to the planner. And Lisa's asking, what if you don't use a lectionary-based curriculum? What if you're just using Echo? All right, well, I'm just going to say Connect then. Yeah, that was, sorry about that. I'm not in the youth module. So then you would say, okay, what sessions do you want to do during that period of time? Well, how many sessions do we have to work with? I don't know how many Wednesday nights that is. I'll just pick a bunch. I'll pick that, and I'll pick leader support, and there, next. So then it will just give you, it'll set up the scheme that you've picked, and then you could say, well, okay, I know I've got way more lessons than I need. You just drag them onto there, whatever ones you want to use and whatever area you use. So if you don't have a lectionary, which will auto-populate, you can use this drag and drop feature to drag in what lessons you want to use on those Wednesdays for the youth. Connect lessons, actually, but we're pretending they're Echo lessons here. Okay, so hopefully that answered your question. Does the schedule and downloading features work the same for rotation curriculum? Let's find out. Sunday rotation, and let's just say 27th through the 22nd, and Sunday next. curriculum. Oh, I'm in the youth. I've got to stop doing this. Got to go back to children now. Sunday, oh, I kept that. Wow, I didn't know I was going to do that. Awesome. Sunday, next. Choose the curriculum, Spark rotation. There it is. Music, worship bulletins, leader support. Next. And so what I think is going to happen here, it's going to be a lot like what I said before. It'll give you the framework, but then you need to grab the lessons and pull them over. So it's really only the lectionary that locks in automatically. All right. When you are using the rotation, can you put what workshops you are using on that Sunday? Well, let's maybe dig into that a little bit more. Go into Spark rotation and go into New Testament and go into Advent and Christmas, and we see all the workshops. Yes, you can add specific workshops to the calendar. So I hope that answers your question, Lisa. So I'm going to actually go back to my PowerPoint here and finish off with that. And really, if you need help, you can get a hold of me. Our web help team, especially when it comes to account information, is really important. Some of the things that happen is that maybe there's some emails that are connected to other subscriptions, like our Sundays and Seasons subscription or Prelude subscriptions, and sometimes emails can be kind of a tricky thing, or maybe there's emails connected to old free trials. So sometimes the web help team has to help you out with getting emails that you want to use. So the on-demand recordings, as I've said before, we are sparkhouse.org /webinars. That's where this one will be, probably in a week or so. And so look for that. And if you haven't signed up for our director newsletters to learn of upcoming training and offers and what have you, definitely make sure you're in on our getting our newsletters. You'll learn about all the new resources coming out, et cetera, et cetera. This is what our webinar page looks like. Here's my 4th session, digging into Sparkhouse Digital for Directors webinar. Looks a little different now, actually. If you want to scan that QR code, it'll take you to our Sparkhouse YouTube page. And there you'll find really short tutorials, like less than 2 minutes, 2 minutes or less. Just boom, you'll get a little tip on something. And sometimes that's all you need. Well, you all have a great day. And as we're bumping up at noon, maybe it's lunchtime where you're at. It's lunchtime where I'm at. so we'll and you can take in as many webinars as you want, and maybe you'll learn something new every time or share something new every time. So I'm happy to have repeat webinar attendees, to be sure. Well, we are in the midst of a true overhaul and refreshment of our program, and this has been so energizing. That energizes me. I gotta tell you, thank you for saying that. That's a thrill to hear that. All right, well, I'm going to be shutting this down, and again, I'll let you all know when the on-demand version is available, and yeah, any tricks and tips, I'm always happy to hear them from people that are into the site. So, all right, God's blessing. Take care. Bye-bye.